Hello and welcome back. We just had the section on job analysis, but now this one is more in depth and it's called job design. Job design specifies the tasks that constitute a job for an individual or a group. It could be job specialization, job expansion, some psychological components. It could be for self directed teams. You probably need to have motivation and incentive systems if you want to get max productivity. So let's look at what is industrial engineering, and this is the process of designing the job. It's a field of study concerned with analyzing work methods and establishing time standards. Job design is an outgrowth of job analysis that improves jobs through technological and human considerations in order to enhance organization efficiency and employee job satisfaction. So the basis of a job design is the organization objectives for the job, including the tasks and responsibilities, are identified. We have to look at the ergonomic considerations, look at the industrial engineering considerations, and then also important is the behavioral concerns reflected in the different talents, abilities, and skills of that employee. Ergonomics, we mentioned that. What is it? It's a process of studying and designing equipment and systems that are easy and efficient for people to use and to ensure their physical well-being to prevent occupational hazards or jobs or injury. Ergonomics is the study of the interface between man and the machine. The work environment could include illumination or lights, the noise or the sound around them, the temperature of the workplace, the humidity, and the big concern is light and sound. You want to have enough light to where the employee knows what they're working on and can see properly, but you don't want to have too much so that it is blinding. Same with the sound. You can see from the sound chart here there are decibels that are very painful. You want to keep it down to the 30 or 40 level. Job specialization is a division of labor into unique tasks. The wages exactly fit the required skill. Job expansion is adding more variety to jobs. It's intended to reduce boredom associated with labor specialization. It provides job enlargement, job rotation, job enrichment, and employee empowerment. The enlargement is a grouping of variety of tasks about the same skill level, giving some horizontal enlargement. And here's an example for you. Employee involvement groups are employees in a group of people who meet to resolve problems or offer suggestions for the organizational improvement or efficiency of the operation. It's also known as quality circles. Success with employee involvement groups requires comprehensive training for the group members, a recognition of their contribution, continuing input and encouragement by management, and very important, the use of a more participative or democratic leadership style, allowing the team to think for themselves. There are different types of work teams. There's a cross-functional team, a project team, self-directed team, task force teams, and specifically process improvement teams. I'm going to leave this slide here for a moment so you can read this and digest some of this information and how these groups are categorized. Again, if you like, you may pause to read further. What is a virtual team? It's a team that uses telecommunication technology to link team members who might be geographically dispersed, often worldwide across cultures and across time zones. For instance, when I worked on a team, we had a team in Korea that we had to meet with, and they were on almost opposite time zone as us. So we either had to stay later or come in earlier to converse with them. Some characteristics of successful teams are a commitment to shared goals and objectives. They're motivated and energetic team members. Has to have open and honest communication between the group. Shared leadership. Nobody's totally in charge. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a clear role assignment. And the climate has to be one of cooperation, collaboration, trust, and obviously responsibility and accountability. The recognition of conflict has to be there, and it's important that the team understands there will always be some conflict, but enhance the positive resolution methods. Self-directed teams are a group of empowered employees who work together to reach a common goal. They may be organized for long-term or short-term objectives. They're effective because they provide employee empowerment. Everyone has a voice. They ensure job core characteristics, and they meet individual psychological needs. To maximize effectiveness of self-directed teams, managers should ensure those who have legitimate contributions are on the team. They need to provide management support, remove roadblocks, help them attain their goals, ensure that they have the necessary training, endorse clear objectives and goals so that they know what they're working towards, and there could be financial or non-financial rewards. Supervisors have to release control and let the team direct itself. The benefits of teams and expanded job designs: they improve the quality of work life, they improve job satisfaction, they increase motivation amongst the employees, they actually allow employees to accept more responsibility and to feel more empowered to be in charge of what they're doing. It improves productivity and hence improves quality. It reduces turnover and absenteeism. Why? Because they feel like they're part of what's going on. Job design time studies involve timing a sample of a worker's performance and using it as a standard, but it requires the observers are very trained and experienced in what they're doing. You can't set the time study before the work is performed, so you have to as it's happening. So first of all, you define the task to be studied. You divide the task into precise elements, decides how many times to measure that task, and then time and record element times and rating of performance. My suggestion is do at least a 3-time measurement thereof. So you compute the average observed time by the sum of the times recorded to perform each element divided by the number of observations. To determine the performance rating in normal time, you take the normal time, which is the average observed time, times a performance rating factor. You have the normal times for each element to develop the total normal time for the task and compute the standard time. It'd be total normal time divided by 1 minus an allowance factor. Well, what allowance factor? Rest allowances. Personal time allowance, 4 to 7% of the total time should be for the use of restroom, water fountain, quick short breaks. Delay allowance based upon actual delays that might occur in the process, sometimes line changeover or line shutdowns. Fatigue allowance based on the knowledge of human energy expenditure. How soon? Everyone feels great first thing in the morning, but by the end of the day, performance is down. So you have to allow for that. Predetermined time standards divide manual work into small basic elements that have established times and is taken from a chart, usually from production history. It can be done in the lab setting away from the actual production operation. It can be set before the work is actually performed, and no performance ratings are necessary. Defining work sampling. Estimate the percent of time a worker spends on different tasks. It requires random observations to record the worker's activity, and again, I recommend at least 3. Determine how many employees allocate their time, and it can be used to set staffing levels or to reassign duties, estimate costs, and set delay allowances. So when you look at a sample here for salespeople, 20% of the sales is in person, 20% of their time is in travel, 17% is paperwork, 10% is lunch and personal time, 8% might be meetings and other, off-cuff requirements. Telephone within the firm, 13%, and actual telephone sales, 12%. So you can see this is the time it makes up for the worker's entire day as a salesperson. Work sampling, you take a preliminary sample to obtain estimates of parameter values, compute the sample size required, prepare a schedule for random observations at appropriate times, and then go out and observe and record the workers' activities. Determine how workers spend their time. So in this case, let's look at an assembly line employee. Startup and exercise beginning of the shift is 3%. Breaks and lunch might be 10% of the time. Dead time between tasks like changeover, waiting for a production update, 13%. Unscheduled tasks and downtime, 4%. And cleanup at the end of the day would be 3%. So their productive workforce time actually is only 67%. And that might surprise you. But do a time study and you'll see how this is valid. Advantages of work sampling, it's less expensive than time study. Observers need little training. Studies can be delayed or interrupted with little impact on the results. The worker has little chance to affect the results, and it's not as intrusive as a time study. Disadvantages, though, it does not divide work elements as completely as a time study does. It can yield a biased results if the observer does not follow a random pattern. And unfortunately, it's less accurate, especially when the job element times are short. So we hope you've seen the section on job analysis, because job design is part 2 of that. Thank you for watching, and we hope you continue learning here.